This is Dante Williams, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
This is BJ Flores, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Some really good fights took place this weekend. I really enjoyed myself. Watched the fights live. I still need to go back and watch the fights on TV to get a better assessment of what took place. But nevertheless, let's get into it. First things first, I want to say congratulations to Lomachenko. He put on a sensational performance, a very intelligent performance. This man is a thinker with great defense, okay? He put on a boxing clinic against another boxer. He outboxed the boxer, and that is very difficult to do. This was chess at the highest level when I watched this fight. It is very rare that you see two fighters that are this gifted with this type of ring intelligence facing one another. I mean, we always usually see the typical brawler versus the puncher. It's usually always brains versus brawn, right? In this fight, it was brains and brawn versus brains and brawn. But what separated Lomachenko from Gary Russell is his defense was a little bit tighter and he had better foot movement. He used a lot of foot movement in the ring, but it was nice, perfect timed foot movement, if you know what I mean. But I would say the main reason why Lomachenko won this fight is something that I always talk about, separates fighters from every other fighter, is the fact that Loma was able to adjust, okay? And don't get me wrong, Gary Russell, he was adjusting as well, but Loma was doing it better. In the very first round, Russell came out, looked very good, showing the speed, showing quick jabs. Russell even managed to land a very clean hook in the first round. Matter of fact, that was one of Gary's cleanest shots that he had landed, because this was a fight, once again, where both fighters had such great defense that one or two clean shots made a big difference on the scorecards. So like I said, Gary Russell, he was doing pretty good in the first round, but Loma adjusted in the next round. And what he was able to do, he was able to get off combinations and then get out of there, okay? He would get his combinations off, and Gary Russell is a great counter puncher. Gary Russell is good at blocking punches and coming out that block kind of like a Mike Tyson and catching you with clean counter shots. He wasn't able to do that with Loma because Loma would get his punches off and he would dip out of there. Loma had learned from the mistakes that he made in the first round, and that is what you call adjusting. Now, see, to Gary Russell's defense, Gary Russell was actually, this fight was going back and forth, guys. It was seesaw for quite some time, and I think close to the end, Lomachenko, he kind of pulled away with a couple of rounds. But the first, 8 rounds kind of was back and forth, back and forth. What I noticed is when Gary Russell was pressuring Lomachenko, he was doing nothing but moving around the ring. He couldn't really get off when Gary Russell would put a lot of pressure on him. It wasn't until Gary Russell would just stand there and basically try to bait Loma in so that he could catch him with a counter. But Loma was so intelligent, he was able to attack Gary Russell without leaving any openings for Gary Russell to counter him, which is the first time Gary had ever been in that position. Usually Gary knocks out guys that open up and go on the aggressive. Now, there were about 3 rounds in this fight where Gary Russell was clearly winning the whole round, right? He was backing up Loma. Loma was doing nothing but moving in the ring, and Gary Russell was putting a lot of pressure on him. Like people were saying, Ruslan Provodnikov was putting pressure on Algieri. But the difference is Loma wasn't landing punches on Gary Russell like Algieri was landing on Ruslan Provodnikov, right? Loma was just moving away, and it was really Gary Russell who was throwing all the punches. So he was winning the round, but then in the last minute of the round, once again, Gary Russell would get flat-footed, and Loma would jump on Gary Russell with a very nice barrage of punches. And even though the majority of his punches weren't landing either, but some of them were getting in. And, he was throwing the punches with so much power, it looked to me like he was inflicting more damage on Gary Russell. And that's really how he was able to steal a couple of those rounds. Now, let me just go ahead and say this. I told you guys in my breakdown video that I had a lot of expectations for Gary Russell Jr. because of his talent level. Okay? I believe that this fight was make or break for Gary Russell. I said that either he's the next Floyd Mayweather, he's the next Zab Judah, or he's the next Eddie Hobson. After watching the way this fight played out, I've come to the conclusion that Gary Russell is none of those guys. Okay? He's none of those guys, and I don't mean it in a bad way. What I mean is you can't really discredit Gary Russell for losing to a talent like Lomachenko. Loma is the real damn deal, guys. I believe if Gary Russell would have been in the ring last night with any other champion, he would have most likely won. Fighters like Orlando Salido, Johnny Gonzalez, these are the type of fighters that would have been tailor-made for Gary Russell, and he would have won the title. Ponce de Leon, because these fighters, they don't have defense. I'm telling you, man, defense is one of the most important attributes that you need in the sport of boxing. And Loma's defense, at least in this fight, was damn near flawless. It was damn near flawless. His defense looked better than Gary Russell Jr.'s defense, and that is saying a lot. I'll tell you right now, I don't see too many people beating Lomachenko right now. I think this guy is that good. In fact, he might be the best Russian-Ukraine fighter in the sport today. Better, of course, better than Ruslan Provodnikov, Kovalev, Golovkin. I think that Loma may be better than all of those guys because this man can box, because he has intelligence. We already know statistically that a boxer, a slickster, a thinker will beat a banger at least 8 times out of 10. We know that for a fact, right? And I truly believe that Loma has all of that. Loma, he has slickness. He can, like I said, he can box. He can bang on the inside, and he can adjust. He is going to be very difficult for anyone to beat, okay? I mean, outside of Guillermo Rigo, I don't see anyone else beating Loma. I mean, I could be wrong. Of course I could be wrong. But outside of Rigo, I don't see anyone beating Loma right now. This dude is the real deal, including Orlando Salido if they were to have a rematch. Even that fight was extremely close, and it was only Loma's second fight. But what he did to Gary Russell Jr., that was very impressive. And now I got to talk to the dumbass fans or the casual fans. You guys are going to have to make up your mind. Either you're going to be honest and tell the truth, or you're going to continue to talk all that dumbass talk just to feed your agenda, which is hating on certain fighters. See, the decafs, they have somewhat of a dilemma right now. And that dilemma is either you're going to give Loma credit for beating a very good undefeated fighter who had all this amateur pedigree and was supposed to be this and that, so on and so forth, right? Or you're going to shit on Gary Russell, say that he was a bum, which that would mean you would have to take away credit from Loma's great win. And you would say, well, Loma didn't beat anyone. He just beat a bum. You could play that stupid shit you guys always do with Floyd Mayweather, right? No, he just beat Robert Guerrero, but Guerrero was a bum. He just beat Canelo, but Canelo had no chance of winning because he wasn't ready, and so on and so forth. So what do? You guys take away credit from Floyd because of the guy that he beat. So you would have to do the same thing with Lomachenko if you play that game. You see how that works, guys? This is the reason why just being honest and speaking the truth is always the best way to go, because you don't have to worry about running into contradictions all the time. You just be honest with yourself. And another thing I want to say is, see, this is the difference between me just talking straight boxing talk as opposed to some dumbass fan who always has an agenda to either hate on someone for whatever reason they hate. Maybe they're racist, maybe they just want to be a jerk, maybe they're just biased for whatever reasons they are. This is the difference from speaking the whole truth and just being a dumbass casual fan. See, I was picking Gary Russell to win this fight. Matter of fact, I told you in my breakdown video that I had money on Gary Russell. I mean, when I found out that Gary Russell was an underdog, I couldn't pass up those odds. Not too often are you going to get odds where you got a professional who's 24-0 fighting against a guy, 2-1, and just lost his last fight, and that guy is the favorite. So I couldn't pass up those odds. I had to bet on this fight. But anyway, I was picking Gary. I thought he would most likely win this fight. He ended up losing the fight, right? Now, do you see me hating on Lomachenko? Do you see me calling him a bum? No, you don't, right? You see me giving him all the credit in the world. You see me giving him the credit that he deserves because I'm calling it like I see it. And I've seen a lot of talent. I've seen a lot of problems for other featherweights in that division. Now, see, the difference from me and the decafs is they see a guy that they don't like put on a sensational performance and they still hate on him, right? Guillermo Rigo beating Donaire. He's boring, he's this and he's all this kind of stuff, right? Floyd Mayweather dominating Canelo, beating Maidana, dealing with adversity, beating Guerrero and everyone else. And they just still continuously hate. No truth to it, just all hate. And see, that is the difference between what I do versus what the decafs on all these blogs and the internet do. See, if I was a decaf, right now I would be saying, oh man, Loma is boring. You see all the running he did? That's all he does is run. He's a boring fighter, and I wouldn't pay to watch that. He couldn't even knock out a bum because Gary Russell was a bum, and he couldn't even knock him out. This dude is weak, man. So on and so forth, etc., right? That is how a decaf talks. So maybe some of you casual fans can think about what you're saying before you post the shit, so you stop making yourself look so damn dumb. And another thing about you decafs, when it comes to you guys sending these irrelevant racist messages, because I'm noticing that too. I notice every time when a black fighter loses, for whatever reason, this is when these ignorant ass fans, they go on a rant. They love to post some racist shit, in somewhat of a celebration. See, what I don't understand is if a Canelo loses, if Pacquiao gets knocked out, if Marquez loses, whoever loses, race is the last thing that's on my mind. Why is it the first thing that's on these ignorant ass fans' minds? And I want to make this very clear. I told you guys this before. The racist messages that I get, they only come from one category of people, okay? 90% of the messages come from one race. And you guys think I'm playing. One of these days I'm going to make a video because I've been snapshotting all these comments. You guys don't see them because actually the dumbasses, they don't know that I have my account set up where any racist messages that I usually see a lot, as soon as you post it, my channel automatically identifies it and it blocks the comment right away. So you guys don't normally see a lot of these racist messages, but trust me, I'm collecting them because one day I just may do a video just to put these motherfuckers on blast. But anyway, congratulations to Lomachenko. He put on a sensational performance against a great opponent, okay? This wasn't just beating Orlando Salido. Even if Loma would have beat Orlando Salido, I wouldn't have gave him that much credit. I actually give Loma more credit for beating someone like a Gary Russell Jr. This was the dude to beat, and the way he did it was very impressive. And I think that Gary Russell, after the way he lost, he can keep his head up too, because I truly believe that Gary Russell can beat almost any other featherweight in the division. All right, he just, like I said, and matter of fact, he may even improve. And, the rematch, if he ever has a rematch with Loma, that fight may be a little bit different because both of these fighters are thinkers. That means that they can adjust. They can look at the mistakes they made and come back and improve on them. And I also want to say, I know some people, they're not going to give Lomachenko credit for getting a belt that he didn't deserve, getting a title shot that he didn't deserve. But regardless if he deserved it or not, I have to give him credit for winning a title against a world-class fighter with only 4 fights or 3 fights, whatever it is. So once again, congratulations to Lomachenko. Congratulations, Gary Russell Jr., for putting on a great performance against a great opponent. And I look forward to seeing what's next for these fighters. I know people are already talking about Rigo versus Loma. That would be a hell of a fight. And I'm going to tell you, man, watching this Gary Russell versus Loma fight, I felt like I was at the Olympics and it was the gold medal match. That's the first time I felt like that watching the fight in a very long time because the skill level was so high. That's the type of skill level you would see in a gold medal match. So I look forward to seeing the many big fights that can be made with Lomachenko and Guillermo Rigo and so on and so forth. Well, I'm out of time, guys. That's all I got to say. I'm on to the next one.